They told us the ground was honest. But when the earth bled black, the truth hid under our boots and we kept walking. The morning does not feel like a beginning. It feels like a secret holding its breath. Air hangs heavy with a smell that clings to skin, a thick, oily scent that never quite leaves your clothes or your thoughts. Somewhere far off, a low rumble moves through the soil, steady as a tired heart. You can pretend it is thunder. You can pretend it is the sea. But you know it is the drill. People pass each other with quick nods and tired eyes, the kind of eyes that have seen too much and learned to say nothing. Hands wash and wash, yet the stain stays, a thin shadow you carry even into sleep. It is easier to look at the ground than at each other. It is easier to count pay slips than the cost. We tell ourselves the world runs on fuel, not on lies, and we press that thought into our minds like a stamp. The mind takes it. The mind is good at taking what helps us move. There was a time when the first drop of oil looked like a miracle, a coin pulled from a dark well. They called it wealth with a smile so wide it looked like daylight. Houses rose. Shops opened. The town found a new rhythm, a beat set by the pump and the pipe and the truck that never stops. Life gained speed. Bills got paid. Dreams grew larger than the sky. Nothing seemed out of reach if you could only dig deep enough. But deep has a way of talking back. It speaks in small warnings at first. A stream that turns dull, a cough that stays too long, a sky that forgets how to be blue. We learn new words like normal levels and acceptable risks, and we let those phrases soothe us at night. This is how silence begins, not with a law, but with a lullaby. You hear stories in the lunch line, in the spaces between the clink of metal and the hiss of steam. A cousin who got sick. A field that will not grow. A bird found stuck in a thin film that looked like shadow on water. The stories arrive soft as dust and leave just as soft brushed from sleeves before shifts end. If you gather them, the pile looks too large to ignore, so you do not gather them. You tell yourself the world is full of stories and most are just wind. You tell yourself you have a family to feed and a roof to hold. You tell yourself that big people in big rooms have already checked the truth, folded it, stamped it, filed it, and sent it back with a seal that says safe. If a thought tries to rise with a different shape, you press it down. You learn the craft of pressing. You become skilled at turning the head, at letting the eye slide past the thing that might wake you at 3 in the morning. Still, the body knows. At dawn, when the light is thin and honest, your chest feels tight for a reason you cannot name. You stand at the edge of the yard and watch a slow smear on the horizon where the rigs sit like long metal bones. You think of time as a black river, thick and patient, moving through the veins of the town, leaving a shine on everything it touches. Shine looks like pride from far away. From near, it looks like a mark. People begin to speak in shorter sentences. Laughter tilts and falls. Words like later and not now become bridges we cross every day. Later, we will ask the hard questions. Not now, we say, not when the bills are stacked like towers, not when the car needs a new belt, not when the school roof leaks after rain. Later becomes a country where truth lives alone. There is a moment, small and sharp, when you catch yourself making a trade. You do not sign a paper or shake a hand. You simply choose to move past a door you could have opened. Perhaps it is a report left on a desk, a page that glints in the corner of your eye. Perhaps it is a story from a friend told in a low voice, the kind of voice that asks for company. You feel the pull to look closer, to ask more, to carry the weight with them. Then you feel the push to keep walking. The push wins because it wears the face of care. Care for your job, your child, your peace. You step over the line so softly that you do not hear it snap. You tell yourself you will come back. You do not come back. The town learns a shared skill, how to change the subject. We speak of new roads, better lights, the big game, the sale on Friday, the plan for a park that will smell like fresh paint every spring. We celebrate the glow and keep the smoke in the corner of our eye. If someone asks about the river's taste, we say it is always tasted like this. If someone asks why the doctor's waiting room is full, we say it is the season. If someone asks about the birds, we say birds move. What else do birds do but move? We are not cruel. We are careful. Care can look like kindness from the outside. From the inside, care can feel like a hand over a mouth. And so the day goes on, the drill keeps time, and the truth waits like a letter under a heavy book. You know it is there. You know the words will not change while you ignore them. But you also know the book is doing an important job. It keeps the wind from taking the page. In this balance, you find a way to breathe. You build a life on edges, on almosts, on maybe later. You light your home with the same black river that unsettles your sleep. You tell yourself that one day the book will lift itself, the letter will rise on its own, and the words will be gentle. Deep down, you know letters do not lift themselves. Deep down, you know the truth does not become softer by waiting. But for now, while the morning stretches and the town hums and the ground keeps bleeding, you tell yourself one more thing. Today is not the day to look. The night comes early in places like this. The horizon folds into shadow long before the clock says evening, and everything becomes the same shade of gray. Lights blink in the distance yellow, steady, mechanical. They do not shine for beauty. They shine for work. Beneath them, men move like ghosts, faces hidden behind masks of dust and sweat. Their voices are small against the hum of the machines. No one talks about the noise anymore. It has become part of breathing. The oil keeps flowing, and with it, the rhythm of denial. You tell yourself this is how progress sounds. You tell yourself you are lucky to be part of it. Money comes in envelopes, clean and folded, as if it has never passed through dirty hands. It smells like promise. Every bill is proof that silence pays better than honesty. At first, you spend it with ease, new clothes, better food, the soft comfort of small luxuries. Then you start to notice that the things you buy fade quicker than they used to. The paint chips sooner, the fabric thins faster, the joy shrinks faster too. It feels like the world is quietly reminding you that not everything black turns to gold. Still, you go on. You have learned to smile in the light of artificial suns. The company puts up banners with words like growth, innovation, and future. They stand tall against the wind, bright and proud, hiding the ground beneath them that no longer grows green. Children play in their shadow, and their laughter mixes with the low hum of the rigs. For a moment, it sounds like hope. But even hope starts to echo differently here, thin, hollow, stretched. People stop looking up at the sky. They look at screens, at numbers, at reports that promise stability. Stability becomes the new dream, not freedom, not truth, just stability. It is easier to live for balance than for meaning. Sometimes a voice breaks through the routine. Someone mentions the old days when the air smelled like rain instead of metal. The others fall quiet, not because they disagree, but because remembering hurts more than pretending. Memory has teeth. It bites when you least expect it. So you bury it deep, like the company buries its waste out of sight, out of talk, out of reach. You become experts in disposal, not just of trash, but of thought, of guilt, of everything that might slow the flow of oil. You call it discipline. You call it loyalty. The truth calls it decay. In the evenings, when the drills rest and the town exhales, you feel the silence that follows. It is not peace. It is a kind of waiting. Dogs bark at nothing, perhaps sensing what people refuse to see. Windows flicker with the same tired news, the same smiling faces assuring that all is well. You watch, you nod, you agree, even when your stomach knots. Because here, doubt is expensive, and questions are dangerous currency. The few who spend them are never seen again in the same light. Their names fade from conversation, their presence erased from group photos. They are gone, and the world pretends it never noticed. There are nights when you cannot sleep. The air feels too heavy, and your thoughts start to wander down dark corridors. You think about the earth beneath your feet, how it must ache, how it must resent the drills that pierce its skin day after day. You imagine the oil as blood, thick and ancient, and wonder what kind of sin it carries. They say this is energy, this is progress, this is life. but something in your chest whispers, maybe it's debt. Maybe every drop we pull from the ground is borrowed time, and the interest is already coming due. Then morning arrives again, soft and slow, pretending nothing happened. The sun climbs over the horizon, though its light feels duller, filtered through the haze of industry. You rise, wash your face, and tell yourself it's just another day. The same life fits a little tighter now, but it still fits. You wear it like a uniform. You walk past the fields that no longer bloom, past the fences that divide nothing from nothing, and you punch in your hours. The machine greets you with its old familiar sound, steady, cold, eternal. You wonder if it remembers the first time it drilled. You wonder if it knows what it's doing to the heart of the earth. Then you stop wondering, because wondering slows you down. And somewhere far away, someone counts barrels and profits, writing embers that will never touch the soil you stand on. They call it success. They call it progress. And maybe it is, if you never look too closely. But deep beneath it all, the earth keeps whispering, patient and quiet. The truth is still there, buried under layers of greed and fear, waiting for someone brave or foolish enough to dig it up again. For now, we keep walking, boots heavy with black dust, pretending we can't hear the heartbeat beneath our feet. The day truth entered the town, it didn't come marching in with banners or sirens. It slipped through the cracks like wind, quiet and unseen. It came in a brown envelope, sealed but trembling slightly at the edges as if it knew the danger it carried. Someone left it on a desk in the middle of the break room, between cold coffee cups and forgotten sandwiches. Nobody claimed it, but everybody saw it. For a few minutes, the room froze. Machines outside kept roaring, but inside, the silence felt heavier than metal. No one reached for the envelope. Eyes met, then drifted away. Truth had arrived, and everyone pretended it hadn't. It only takes one person to open what others fear. The worker who had tired eyes and a soft voice, the kind of person no one notices twice. When the seal broke, it wasn't paper that tore, it was comfort. Inside were reports, photos, records of spells hidden under sand, numbers that never reached the public, deaths marked as accidents but filed too neatly to be random. It was all there, the buried proof of what the ground had been trying to tell us for years. For a heartbeat, the worker felt powerful, like someone had handed him the pulse of the world. Then the fear came, quick and cold. Truth is not a gift here. It's a trap that snaps shut the moment you touch it. He carried the envelope home, hidden beneath his jacket, as if the papers could burn holes through fabric. The night felt longer than usual, filled with the hum of distant engines. He sat at his kitchen table, staring at the papers, the numbers, the pictures of oil-streaked soil and dead rivers. He whispered to himself, someone has to know, but then he thought of his wife sleeping in the next room, of his daughter's school fees, of the mortgage letter on the fridge. He thought of the faces at work, the ones who looked away from the envelope. He realized that everyone had their own version of silence to protect. Days passed, and he tried to return to routine. But truth doesn't unsee itself. Every machine he touched felt heavier. Every barrel of oil smelled sharper. Every paycheck looked thinner under the weight of what he now knew. He began leaving small notes on bulletin boards, anonymous messages that said, "Ask what's under the sand," and numbers don't lie, but people do. Most were torn down by morning. A few stayed long enough to make someone think, maybe for a second too long. The company noticed the whispers before the people did. The next week, new posters went up bright and bold, promising safety, loyalty, and shared responsibility. It felt less like a message and more like a warning wrapped in color. The worker became a shadow. His friends stopped meeting him for coffee. His supervisor started double-checking his reports. One night, he found his locker open, papers missing, his name half scratched off the attendance sheet. The message was clear. He was being erased slowly, politely, efficiently. Still, he couldn't let go. He began leaving copies of the files in mailboxes, under doors, between old newspapers. He didn't sign them, didn't ask for thanks. He only wanted someone else to see, to carry the weight with him. But the town was good at pretending. The truth, like the oil, seeped into cracks and stayed underground. Rumors began to swirl about a traitor, a leaker, a troublemaker. The worker's name floated through hushed conversations, always followed by a sigh. People said he had lost his mind, that he was looking for attention, that he didn't understand how things worked. But the truth is he understood too well. He saw that truth is not rejected with anger, it is rejected with apathy. The real danger was not the company's lies, but the town's silence. He realized people didn't need to be forced to stay quiet. They chose to, every single day, for the comfort of not knowing. One morning, he didn't show up for work. Some said he left town. Others said he was transferred. A few whispered darker stories, but no one asked too many questions. The machines kept moving, the drills kept turning, and the posters about loyalty remained bright and clean. But every now and then, someone found an envelope on their doorstep, no name, no note, just papers that smelled faintly of oil. Most threw them away. A few read them and couldn't sleep afterward. And somewhere in the middle of all that noise and forgetting, a strange feeling began to grow. People started looking twice at the black puddles near the plant, started noticing the cough that never healed, the trees that stopped blooming. They didn't speak of it out loud, but their eyes began to search again like they remembered what looking meant. The truth had not been destroyed. It had only been scattered, waiting for a moment of courage to gather itself again. The story of the worker became a ghost tale, something whispered in the dark, half believed, half denied. Some said he was a fool. Some said he was a hero. But in the end, he was something simpler, a mirror. The kind that shows not what we want to see, but what we've tried hardest to forget. And in a town built on oil and silence, forgetting is the only skill everyone truly masters. The silence that followed his disappearance was louder than any siren. For days, people pretended nothing had changed, yet everything felt off, like the world had slipped half an inch out of place. Conversations became shorter, eyes quicker to turn away. The machines still roared, but beneath the rhythm there was something else, a tremor, soft and uneasy, running through the pipes and into the soil. It was as if the ground itself had started to remember what had been buried in it. The town walked carefully now, as though the truth might be hiding under every footprint. New faces arrived, polished shoes, clean colors, smiles that didn't reach their eyes. They introduced themselves as auditors, inspectors, consultants. Their job, they said, was to ensure safety and preserve order. No one asked whose safety or what kind of order. Meetings were called, speeches made, promises repeated. Cameras were placed in corners that never needed watching before. The company's logo appeared on every new piece of paper, every door, every hope. A new slogan spread through the streets. Black gold builds tomorrow, but those who still remembered the workers' whispers began to taste the word tomorrow like rust on their tongue. The system doesn't strike back with fists, it strikes with comfort. One by one, the people were offered small rewards, a bonus here, a better shift there, a favor for a favor. Those who accepted smiled a little too wide. Those who refused found their hours cut, their names missing from lists, their children's school applications mysteriously delayed. It wasn't cruelty, it was calculation. Truth was being erased, not with noise, but with kindness. That's how you keep people quiet. You make them feel grateful for the silence. At night, a thin layer of black dust began to settle over everything, the windows, the fields, the clothes on the line. It came from nowhere and everywhere, carried by the wind. The company called it natural residue. Scientists on the news called it trace matter. But the people who coughed it up in the mornings called it what it was, a reminder. A quiet warning that no matter how many reports vanished, the truth had a way of coming back, one breath at a time. Still, the town carried on. It always did. Denial, once learned, becomes a reflex. One evening, a child picked up a dead bird near the drainage canal, its feathers matted with a sheen of black. He brought it home in both hands, proud and curious, as children are. His mother froze when she saw it. Something inside her cracked, not loud, not visible, but real. That night, she took the bird and placed it on the front steps of the plant's office, wrapped in a clean towel. No note, no name, just a small act of remembering. By morning, it was gone. The towel remained, soaked dark in the middle. Small gestures began to appear after that. Someone painted a question mark over a billboard. Someone else wrote, "Where is he?" on the side of a truck. The cleaners worked fast, but the stains always came back. The truth was learning to write itself into the world again, through those who could no longer hold it in. The company responded with silence, and silence, ironically, made it louder. The more they tried to erase, the more visible the absence became. Rumors grew like weeds. Some said the worker had sent his files to the media. Others said the river had changed color overnight. Nobody knew what was real anymore, and maybe that was the point. Confusion is control. When people can't tell the difference between truth and lie, they stop looking for either. The company fed them enough noise to drown in new projects, community events, fireworks that painted the night sky gold. The crowd clapped and cheered, while the earth beneath their feet swallowed another layer of poison. But even poison has a limit. The ground began to shift, subtle at first. Cracks appeared along the roads, hairline fractures that grew wider after each rain. The smell of oil became stronger, like something old and angry rising to the surface. The town started losing sleep. Dogs barked at empty streets. The power flickered at odd hours, as if something beneath the soil was breathing too hard. People whispered that it was punishment, that the land was finally rejecting them the way they had rejected.